All right. So what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Freddie. I am here with the Focal Spot podcast. I'm going to be doing a series called Mastering the Courage to Pivot. Pivot means to turn or to make a change in your life. 2020 has been an eye-opening year. So I am reaching out to people who's pivoted in the past that can help us with this year and to move forward. My next guest is the master of pivot, okay? I think that's what his middle name stands for, pivot. This proud East Orange, New Jersey native is what part of the Grammy Award platinum selling rap group, Naughty by Nature. Let's give it up for Vin Rock. What up, Vin Rock?
Yo. How y'all doing out there? Thanks for having me, Freddie.
Thank you for doing this because, again, I'm just trying to reach out to my Jersey people because I'm in Newark. So I'm just like, we got gems right here. So why not reach out to them?
From the bricks? Okay, that's dope.
Yeah, right here in Ivy Hill.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yes, and then when my moms came from Haiti, they stayed up the hill off of William and Walnut.
Okay, that's down the hill in our hood. Well, William and Walnut is up more, like the middle of the hill, but it's all good.
But just like KG, they moved up. They said, nah, Jersey's too rough for us. So then myself moved to New York, so I had to come back to Jersey.
Oh man, well look, you're right in a beautiful place because William and Walnut is in East Orange, New Jersey. Big shout to Mayor Ted Green and the whole East Orange, New Jersey. We're doing great things, tons of development in the city, and we're on the move. Actually, the whole Essex County. Big shout to Newark, East Orange, Irvington, and Orange. That four-city coalition, we're making moves out here. What a great pivot, too.
Yes, we are. And speaking of which, 2020 has been a year. But for you, it's been excellent, Mr. 49 million streams on Spotify.
Oh,
and
yeah.
happy belated birthday. You just turned 50 this year. How does it feel to be 50?
That was a milestone, man. That was such a pivot. And, you know, a lot of people with this ageism thing, they're like, oh, you're so old and whatever. But, you know, when you kind of look at what's happening, especially in hip hop with our young black males and this whole culture, man, like a lot of our young brothers are passing away before they even turn 30. So to hit the 50-year-old milestone is something to be celebrated. And I just truly believe brothers in my age group, we got to go back and dig in and extend the lives of our young brother and teach them, you know, the value of longevity. And that's one thing we don't seem to, you know, treasure as black males, longevity. It seems like it's so easy for us to just kill and destroy. And that's unnatural. Literally, it's unnatural.
Right. And then you look amazing for 50. So I want to adopt whatever lifestyle you have. Like I think one of his things make him look so good for his age is that he's always happy. He could be in Newark at the library, at a hip hop festival in Japan. You always see that same smile that he has. So I think happiness is definitely going to help us to longevity.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't walk around angry if I wanted to. You know what I mean? That's what we use Slugger for. Slugger has the little ice grill on, but no, I mean, that's just a part of my life. It's what I choose to do. I choose to be happy. I choose to exude positive energy. And one thing I've learned in this life, especially with as many people as I've encountered in my career, the energy you put out is the energy you receive. So, you know, besides touring and doing certain shows in my entire career, I've never had a reason to use a bodyguard or to have some guy hovering over me. Personally, I never liked that. And I'm sure a lot of people in Jersey, especially when we had our store downtown Newark, they would see me just walk around by myself and just enjoy the people, man. I'd rather enjoy the people instead of being shielded from the people. Plus, I'm from Illtown in East Orange, Essex County. I can hold myself down. But, you know, I think especially now it's a blessing because anybody could take you out of here at any given time. And, you know, everybody seems to have a strap on them, some kind of gun. So if you want smoke, they got it for you. But I just totally feel blessed that, you know, coming up in East Orange, New Jersey, the Newark area, having a store downtown Newark, anywhere I go, everywhere I go, I receive nothing but love and good vibes. So that's something to smile about.
And another thing to smile about, because 2020 has been 2020 and Rita Wilson brought some positivity with some of your classics. Talk about that.
Yeah, so when this whole pandemic happened and they did the lockdown, everyone was locked down, and all of a sudden, Tom Hanks was the first celebrity diagnosed with COVID-19, and he and his wife. So Rita Wilson, as her story goes, they were filming in Australia, and they both had to lock down and quarantine. And Rita is saying that. Like Alzheimer's and stuff like that runs in her family. So as part of exercise, they always run through tongue twisters and brain exercises. So she remembered she had to memorize our song Hip Hop Hurray for a movie she filmed a couple of years prior. So she was like, you know what? I'm locked down, nothing to do. Let's see if I still remember this song. So she played Hip Hop Hurray and was on her IG. She recorded it, and she was like, man, I remembered it, but let's see if I post this thing, it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to go viral or people are just going to trash me out. So she decided to upload it, and sure enough, it went viral. So, I kind of reached out to her. We reshared it, and she came with the idea. She was like, listen, Vin, she's part of, I forget the nonprofit. It benefits musicians who are out of work or going through tough times. She was like, hey, how would you guys like to remix the song, and the proceeds would benefit, the nonprofit? So we said, yeah. I mean, we got with her, made it happen. We shot a remix video to Hip Hop Hooray. And, there you have it. We have Hollywood A-lister, Miss Rita Wilson, spitting our lyrics. So it was definitely a dope thing.
And then think about it, this has been almost 30 years in the making. Who would ever thought Hip Hop Hooray from the 90s, 2000s, and this time with some of the happiness that we need at this time? So yes, that is a good thing she did that, but that all came from the creative geniuses like you all have done. And speaking of which, 30-year anniversary, my dude.
Yes. 2021. Yeah. 2021 will be the 30th anniversary of Naughty by Nature's career. We dropped our first album, self-titled Naughty by Nature, in September of 1991. So next year, September 2021, will be that timestamp exactly on 30 years of our career. So KG Tretch and I, we have a bunch of stuff in store from music. We're working, talking with Shakim and Queen Latifah from Flavor Unit for a 30-year anniversary, because there's such an integral part of our career. And of course, we'll do merch capsules and everything. So hopefully by then, I'm hearing Dr. Fauci saying that hopefully we'll have herd immunity by late summer. So maybe we'll get in a big venue, maybe downtown Newark somewhere, Prudential Center and JPAC, and rock out for the people, Naughty and Friends, one time for the 30th anniversary. But it's definitely going down, regardless, whether it's virtual or physical. We're definitely going to celebrate our 30th anniversary.
Now, to make it to 30 years, that took a lot of courage and a lot of pivoting you all had to do from when you all started to now. So let's take it all the way back to when you was just a young Vinny in the game, in East Orange. So why do you hip hop? What was it about hip hop that you said, you know what, I'm gonna do this?
Right. Well, for one, I mean, I remember just my guy Loke, he would always come out with tapes, cassette tapes. Back then they recorded, like the Awesome 2 and WHBI. They recorded all of the underground hip hop. And I remember hearing Dougie Fresh. It sounded like he had rocks in his mouth. I was like, wow, what is that? And then I remember seeing Gladys Knight and the Pips Save the Overtime for Me video and Buffalo Gals video. Those were the first times I saw someone do a backspin breakdancing. So I was like, man, what on earth is this? And just hanging with the older guys, they were pull out the cardboards on the street and breakdance, beatboxing, rapping, from hearing Rapper's Delight and all of the underground mixtapes. I was like, wow, this is something that I could do. And at the time, I'm the youngest of 7. So youngest of 7, my mother, she passed away in 1988, but she was a single parent. And thank you. She was a single parent. I have 5 sisters and 1 brother, and I'm the youngest of 7. So, of course, we come from very humble beginnings. So For me, I could never afford Pop Warner. So, the East Orange Rams and going to one of my guys went to Flip City. Those were extracurricular activities that had, your parents had to have an extra budget to send you to those things. So I could never afford it. But hip hop, that was something like, wow, it doesn't cost. So if you had your guys up and down the streets, they had, cardboard or the dirty mattresses. You could always break dance, beatbox. You could rap with them, and hip hop was free. So it was like free, street recreation. So that's one of the main reasons why I was able to gravitate towards it, because it was free.
I know that's right. Ain't nothing wrong with free.
That's right.
And then, of course, by you deciding to, hey, this is something I want to do, doors started opening. You met two members. So how did you meet Tretch and KG?
Yeah, well, KG and I, we live 3 blocks away from each other. I'm from 15th Street. KG is on 18th Street. So we went to the same elementary schools. And then growing up, once we got into high school, Tretch was in my sophomore health class. So I used to beatbox for Tretch all the time. And he used to come to me with a new rap all the time. And then with KG, I was in a breakdancing crew with a guy named Ski, actually Terry Peppers, and Terry Peppers is New York Giants great number 21 Jabril Peppers' father. So Terry Peppers, he was like my OG. He's like 3-4 years older than me. I used to break dance with him, and he lived directly across the street from K. So after I would break dance with Ski, I would go and beatbox for K while he DJ'd. So one day I was like, yo, K, there's this kid in my health class named Tiny. He comes every other day with a new rhyme for me. And I brought him over to K, and basically that was the beginning of our group. And just so happened, KG was a year older than Tretch and I. We were juniors in high school. K was a senior, and he had a senior talent show. So he wanted to do that show. And our first show was KG's senior talent show. We didn't even have a name of our group or anything. We just put together a routine and went out there and killed it.
And that takes courage to do a talent show. That ain't for the faint heart. I can boo all I want, but put me on the stage, I'm not doing it. So that took a whole lot of courage, because if you whack, we're going to let you know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and back then, I mean, we were 80s babies. So hip hop was red hot in 82, 83, 84. So all through the 80s, man, it was like everyone and their grandmother was participating in it. So, your skills had to be sharp in order to go out there. But yeah, that talent show was in 87. So we were ready for it, man, and we made it happen.
And then you kept going. So that's when you realized it was like, all right, this is working. I hip hop, we got the group together, the fans like us, and you kept going. So talk about that one time, things was going good, and then you went to New York and it wasn't what you expected it to be. So what happened during that time?
Yeah, definitely. That's when, once we did the talent show, first of all, it was our local haters that was like, yeah, that first talent show is good, but you'll never make it. So we started participating locally. Club 88, we had the Tough Teen Talent Competition, and we always performed locally. So we sort of mastered our backyard. Then we began to feel ourselves like, yo, now we could go into New York City. But people don't realize back then, if you weren't from the 5 boroughs, you could not be down in hip hop. They weren't trying to hear you in New York. If you were from Jersey, you may have as well have been from Alabama back then. You know what I mean? So we remember KG's brother, Pookie, was managing us at the time. He had a guy named Stan who was a promoter, and he was promoting Cool DJ Red Alert's birthday party. So this was a huge party, and they let us open up. But it was KRS-One, the entire native tongue. So you're talking De La Soul, Queen Latifah, Tribe Called Quest. I mean, they were all out there, man. And we opened up, and we were a group called the New Style. So I grabbed the mic and was like, yo, what's up, people? We're from Jersey. And they booed us out the venue before we could get one word out. It was so embarrassing, man. They just booed us. But that really encouraged us. And I always cap off this story like this. It was wintertime. when we drove into New York from Jersey. But we did the show, got booed like crazy, and when we left the venue, it was like 3 feet of snow on the way back to Jersey. So that was the longest ride back to Jersey ever. And I got
Yeah, it
blamed
gets
like,
real out
yo,
here.
yeah, I'm like, they were like, Vin, why did you say we were from Jersey? But that was all the inspiration we needed to be like, you know what? We're coming back, and New York and the world is going to respect us. So that was the encouragement we needed to just go hard, super hard.
So this is just a big thing for everybody. Hopefully y'all caught on. Even when you have people that doubt you or even boo you, if you give up, they win. If you keep going, you win. And look, if they would have succumbed to that in New York many years ago, we wouldn't have seen them today. So that's what you
Exactly.
call pivoting. So then also, you went from new style, that was your style, you know. The
Yeah.
first album didn't really fare well. Then you had to pivot into,
Naughty by Nature. Absolutely. So,
and
and
how
that
did
was
that come
a,
about?
yeah, that was a big challenge for us because back then, we were so used to the new style and we signed to the old Sugar Hill Records and put out the new style album. So, man, it didn't go anywhere. And after that, we had to get away from them. So we got with Flavor Unit, Queen Latifah, Shakim, Mark the 45 King, Apache, Lakim Shabazz, and we invited them all to Upsala College and was like, yo, we're in the new style and we're trying to get out of this contract. But we had a great show, gave them our demo. First thing they said is, you have to change your name and get away from the old label if we're going to work with you. So we were like, oh, we were so married to the name New Style. But when we flipped through all of the lyrics and Tretch flipped through his lyric book, he was the one who said, you know what? Our new name should be Naughty by Nature. And Flavor Unit thought that the name was sort of too long. They're like, Naughty by Nature, I'm not sure about that. We were like, man, everyone has a little naughty in their nature. And lo and behold, we stuck to our guns. We ran with Naughty by Nature, made that pivot, and the rest is sort of history.
History. So remember, first album, the first official album didn't go well. You changed your name. You got into Naughty by Nature, the name. First album, platinum.
Boom, double platinum.
Double platinum. This is what happens when you make that pivot. Sometimes you have to get out your comfort zone to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was one of the challenges for us, just getting out of that comfort zone. Even like when you talk about pivoting, even, pardon me, even when we decided to go to New York to perform and got booed, we had to pivot. We had to come back and not get discouraged.
Did you ever go back to that club as Naughty by Nature and rocked it?
I'm sure we've been to that venue a million times and crushed it. I can't remember it now, but definitely we put so much work in and just mastered New York City that New York City became one of our biggest markets and one of our biggest hometown markets. So till this day, New York City got mad love for us, and two of our biggest songs are, very close to New York hip hop scene because the hey ho, that's an uptown New York party scene. So we've always been fans of New York. Then another huge song of ours, Uptown Anthem, that was made because of the Juice soundtrack, and the movie Juice was filmed uptown in Harlem. So we shot that video up there. So, we got love for New York, although they had to check us and keep us humble. But two of our biggest songs pays homage to New York.
And what also makes Naughty by Nature legendary is not just their sound, it's their marketing genius. Again, I'm wearing their shirt, Naughty by Nature, supported.
Yeah.
Yes. What made you come up with not only a logo, but a clothing brand? And I believe if y'all not the first, y'all one of the first to create your own brand outside of like Run DMC and like Salt and Pepper. But y'all took
Right.
it to another level.
Yeah, definitely. Well, for one, Flavor Unit got us signed to Tommy Boy Records. So once we came out with the name Naughty by Nature, our first video was O.P.P. I was just talking to someone about this. If you look at O.P.P.'s video, on the DJ booth, there's a sign there. It's not the Naughty by Nature logo. It's just Naughty by Nature written out in a generic font, generic letters. We didn't even have the logo yet. But thanks to Miss Monica Lynch, she was in the art department. She was in the marketing and promotions department. She worked with an art director, Mark Weinberg, and they came up with the logo. they came up with the logo that you're wearing right now. So the story goes that they were meeting in a restaurant and they talked about a youthful vibe for the logo. So Mark Weinberg, he had a crayon writing on a dinner napkin, and he came up with the two words, but he didn't have the bat yet. So they kind of sat with it and was like, we're missing an icon, and they came up with the bat. How the logo was actually created is on our YouTube channel, and you look up Mark Weinberg, you'll see it. But he made a big bat and then scaled it down to fit the size of the napkin. And we own that napkin. It's definitely a hip hop artifact. So the original Naughty by Nature logo exists, you know. So from there, Tommy Boy actually made the first Down with O.P.P t-shirt and the Naughty by Nature boxers and the Down with O.P.P sticker. But back in the day, as the new style, we always had new style jackets, new style t-shirts, and everywhere we went, we always rolled deep. So, you know, new style was more of our stuff because back in the day, everyone had a posse and everyone had jackets and tees. But once we had a brand like Naughty by Nature and the Down with O.P.P and the boxers and the stickers, man, we had our whole crew. And here's what we've always done. No matter what the label created, we always went in our pocket, invested in more inventory. So we did that pivot. So no matter what the label had, they sent out promotional goods to different DJs around the country, but we wanted our own supply. So instead of us stressing the label for it, we went in our pockets and always made our own t-shirts, our own boxers, our own stickers, and we went up and down the Garden State Parkway, the Turnpike, stuck it on all the toll booths. I mean, we had that stuff everywhere,
Y'all
everywhere,
was your own
everywhere,
street team
everywhere.
too.
Yes, we were our own street team, and we began selling the goods, you know, our merchandise from our block on 18th Street. So if you can imagine, O.P.P was red hot. We literally had people coming from Pennsylvania, North Carolina, D.C., just to come to our block and see us. And KG's mom and sister, they were there just banging out, selling the teas and stuff. And it got to the point where the cops literally raided our block, so we couldn't sell the merch anymore. And that's when I made another pivot, yet another pivot, and I opened the store downtown North because that was the thing. Like, we had so many kids with us, and we were street kids coming off the block. But once we got legitimate with our music, we had X amount of kids we could take on tour with us. But the people who were left behind, we figured, you know what? If we open up a retail store, we can give these kids a job and have them learn how to run a retail business, run the clothing line. And that's what we had. We just wanted to take everyone out of the streets, keep them, you know, out of harm's way, and legitimize their lives. That's the pivot we tried to make.
And I believe y'all, if I did my research correctly, y'all were probably one of the first rap groups to open your own store. I mean, I know we had
Yeah,
oh my God, Dapper Dan that created his
yeah,
clothing store, but he wasn't in the rap. He got into the fashion, but I believe y'all were the first to
yes.
have y'all own store.
Well, you know what it was? We were inspired by Spike Lee because we had LaShawn Coleman, she's my Class 88 member, and Hassan Mateen. They're both from East Orange. They worked for Spike's joint clothing store in the heart of Brooklyn, downtown Brooklyn. So as we were coming up, Spike, you know, back then he had Malcolm X, 40 Acres and a Mule Gear, and he had his store right in the heart of Brooklyn. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, this would be dope if we were able to do that in our hometown. So lo and behold, we opened the store downtown Newark, and there was another artist who inspired me, Play from Kid and Play. Back in the day in Queens, he had a barber shop and he had a similar custom shop like Dapper Dan had. So he was doing that out in Queens, and our boy Bumpy Knuckles, Freddie Fox, took me out there to see that. So we were inspired by Spike Lee. We were inspired by what Play from Kid and Play did. And then that's what made me pull the trigger and like, you know what? This stuff makes sense. Oh, another group who inspired me was the S1Ws from Public Enemy. So our first major tour, we went out with the S1Ws from Public Enemy, and we would see them. They were marching and all that. Public Enemy always had, pardon me, great merchandise. So when we were on tour, we asked them, well, what do you guys do when you go home? They were like, we run the merchandise, all of the mail order stuff, we fulfill orders and all of that. So I was like, you know what? All of these different elements just doubles down on the fact that we can employ our people. So if we go on tour, we could take cats out. The people who are left behind could work at the store. Then when we come off the tour, we can have these kids work the store as well. So it was that kind of inspiration. And definitely we inspired tons of other artists. I remember in particular, P. Diddy, Sean Combs called Shakim from Flavor Unit. It was like, get me on the phone with Vin. I want to see how he's doing this because I wanted to do Bad Boy Clothing, but someone took that name and I have to make a pivot. So lo and behold, he got me on the phone. I explained to him how I was doing it, but I'm like, look, I'm doing this locally with a local sporting goods store. You should kind of go for a larger license, a larger manufacturer. And lo and behold, Diddy came with Sean John and took the game to another level. So it's all love in hip hop.
And I think I want to kind of take it back to what you said earlier is like you said you came from humble beginnings. And I think that kind of sparked that entrepreneurial side of you because there's a lot of things you couldn't do when you were younger because of finances. And then now you realize, hey, if I own something, you know, I can not only create my coins, but I can also give back. So humble beginnings helps you pivot too, just to let y'all know.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
And then with your, I have to ask you this random question. How do y'all know y'all make a hit? Does the bat start flying around in your room or something? Like, how do you know it's going to be like another anthem? Like, does y'all ears twiggle? What happens?
Well, you know what? Again, we're street kids, and we've always had the support of our city of East Orange. So on our block, 18th Street, when we would go in the studio, every studio session, we would come home. KG had the Nissan Sentra with the loud sound system in it. And we would come home and just ride up and down the block, bumping different songs. Now, when you're in the studio, you know certain songs feel good to you, certain vibes feel good to you. But the ultimate test is when you bump it in the streets. So I remember Hip Hop Hurray. I remember O.P.P. When we came out the studio with those kinds of songs, man, the kids would be dancing in the streets and you would just feel the groove and the vibe and people would just bounce to it. And you're like, we got one, you know what I mean? So it's definitely the initial feeling, but the people out in the streets, you know, put the final stamp on it.
Speaking of which, I think people got to give you the credit for coming up with the O.P.P.
Yeah. That was like a high school puppy love thing combined with our boy, Moo Brown. So again, we were street kids. All of this stuff happens on the block. And, you know, we out there in the streets. Moo Brown would come down and say, I'm down with OPM, other people's money. And I had an entanglement in high school, a little puppy love entanglement. And we were like, man, you ain't coming on our block getting our money. I'm down with O.P.P., other people's property. And next thing you know, Tretch took that phrase, man, made an incredible song. You got to realize Tretch wrote O.P.P. when he was about 17 years old, 17, 18 years old. So if you listen to O.P.P. and people know what the two P's mean for and the whole party means for, the way he was able to break it down for the males, break it down for the females, and then incorporate everyone in the third verse is literally like lyrical genius at 17, 18 years old.
And now we on the other set of O.P.P., Other People's Podcasts.
Yes. There you go.
So now, of course, with all this pivoting, you stayed hometown, you went, you know, across, and you changed your name, you stepped out of your comfort zone, created a business, all that got you a Grammy. How did that feel?
Yes, the Grammy was a great feeling, but unfortunately back then we put out the album in 95 and we won the Grammy in 96. However, the Grammy Awards, they never respected hip hop back then. So when we won our Grammy, it wasn't televised. It wasn't even a part of the official ceremony. So I remember pulling up to the venue and we did the red carpet. And just as we finished the red carpet, they walked to us and said, hey, you guys won the Grammy. So when we went in the auditorium, I just yelled out, we won, and walked out because they wanted us to do press in the back. but we were literally never a part of the ceremony. So I know everyone realizes in hip hop, even till this day, they're having all kinds of problems with the Grammys respecting hip hop as a culture. And a lot of people are calling for, create your own shows. We celebrate our own black music, but the Grammys is, American culture, and hip hop is American culture, and it deserves to be respected as such. Look at what's going on right now. You have every suburban kid in the world loving our culture, man. And this is stuff that has grown from the streets of New York, spread all over the US streets, and it deserves to be recognized by American institutions.
Period.
Period.
Or as Tretch would say, translation.
Exactly.
Put some respect on our name.
Exactly.
I have to ask you, what's your favorite album? Your favorite Naughty by Nature album?
My favorite Naughty album is probably Poverty's Paradise. That's the one we won the Grammy for, because I think back then it was our third album. Tretch and I, we were gaining a good chemistry. KG as a producer. By that time, he had produced he had produced Janae. And yeah, he had produced Janae, and he was getting more into R&B. So he was using more musicians. So the album was tighter production-wise and songwriting-wise. So yeah, that album. A Grammy Award winning one.
Yes. So your 90s, you did your thing. In the early 2000s, you kind of took a break. How did those quiet times benefit you even for today or even at that time?
Yeah, well, I mean, during that time, I think, Naughty, we were growing because I had the store and doing the merchandise. KG had produced the Rotten Rascals, Next, Janae. He was on his way to Jaheim, producing him. Tretch was doing television and film. And basically, all three of us had three different pivots. But it made me feel like, you know what? We were running so fast and everything came at us so fast that we had a chance to settle down. Then we started learning about real estate, working with our accountants and our lawyers, just figuring out what this money is, what to do with it, where to put it so you have long-term growth. And we learned those things during that downtime. So it was almost like a pivot back into the real world because the entertainment world is a fantasy world. However, it does give you a lot of fast cash and a lot of fast money. So no matter what you do in life, you're going to have to come back down to reality. And it's either you come back broke or you come back with a bunch of cash and you do the right things with your money.
I don't think I realized Vinny's the king of pivoting. So let me break it down for you. Not only he's a rapper, not only he's the glue that brought the group together, he's also an activist, community service, the marketing guru, like business dude. And you're a good researcher. You study things very well. Like, even though you don't have the store anymore, you've pivoted into online.
Yes, definitely. As a matter of fact, when we opened the store, I had naughtybynature.com and naughtygear.com way back then. And let me tell you how early we were. Back then, the fastest modem on the internet was 14.4 kilobits per second. So I'm 50 years old. I don't know how old the audience is, but that was the first modem. Then it went to 28.8 kilobits, 56K kilobits, T1 lines, and moving forward. So when we opened the store in 94, I had naughtybynature.com and naughtygear.com. And back then, when you went to naughtygear.com, what we had was people weren't spending money over the credit cards over the internet. What we had was we had the website. You could print out the order form, check off what you want, and mail it in. You had to mail that order form into 106 Halsey Street, and then the inventory we had at the store, that's what we were shipping out. So it was almost like an extension of buying the cassette or the CD, because all of our early fans know in 93, we had the pullout where you could buy the Naughty Gear. But the thing is that you actually had to have the album in order to get the pullout. But when this thing, internet, came along, I've always studied that. And when it said worldwideweb.naughtybynature.com, I'm like, You know what? World Wide Web, wait, this thing is if you have a computer, you literally have your own television station. You literally have your own portal to the world. So that always intrigued me. And I was like, well, now people don't really need to actually buy the album to get the pull out. We could just have the website, let them print it out, check it off, and then they could mail it in. So it extended our customer base. And I've always paid attention to the internet since then.
Wow, so 94. Yeah, yeah. You were
Yeah,
needed AOL to log on.
that's right. That was AOL, the whole dial-up modem. It take 3 minutes just to make all the noise. So I've always paid attention to that. And then even from there, when the store closed, we did licensing deals where other companies would do our thing. But one thing I've always known is that those companies, they're usually padded. Padded meaning they have to make a profit. So basically the product suffers. So they'll make the cheapest product for the highest price to make the biggest margin so they could spread the profit amongst their company. So for us, we're like, you know what? We don't really like that product. So the best thing to do is invest in yourself. And once you invest in yourself, you can control the quality. You invest in yourself, you'll, take all of the risk. And this is one thing I've always done. I've taken all of the risk. And even right now, like this is some of the best time for us doing our merchandise. So what everyone sees me doing now over the internet with naughtybynaturesstore.com, selling our hoodie bundles, we invest in that inventory. Our guys at NJ Ink Shop, we produce it all. We ship it all out from there. And everything right now, the major pivot right now is direct to consumer because COVID, traditional retail, whether it's Macy's, whether it's Dr. J's, traditional retail has been suffering before COVID. So tons of stores were closing before COVID. We've always had our own direct-to-fan online shop. So when COVID hit, we just happened to have loaded up on inventory back in March. And man, when this lockdown happened, we were running our targeted ads over Facebook and Instagram, and the sales just flew, took off. And till this day, man, we're doing great. So shout out to everybody supporting naughtybynaturesstore.com. I know y'all see all of my targeted ads. I'm out there, Frank Perdue in it, you know what I mean? Colonel Sanders in it, just promoting my own product. And man, the love and support is at an all-time high. And we're about to scale this business where we're going to produce the goods overseas, drop ship in Australia, Europe, Canada, the US, and then use Amazon and Shopify fulfillment to fulfill the goods. So we're about to scale our business, and it's going to be the biggest we've ever done with our apparel since we opened that store in 94. And the beauty of it is that we control it, we operate it, we invest in it, we take all of the risks, and we're getting all the rewards. I love Lamborghinis and Rolls Royce, but they will not get my money.
Period. Translation,
Period.
invest in yourself. I'd rather put it into my own.
That's right.
And another pivot that you've done because it happened to you, talent development. Let's talk about Illtown Sluggers.
Roof. Yes. So the slugger movement is, again, it's another pivot because here's the thing. To be honest, I'll keep it real. Naughty by Nature, we've been through our turbulent times. Everyone knows K. Tretch and I, we haven't gotten along throughout the years all the time, but as any brotherhood would be, as any organization, you're going to run through tough times. So it got to a point where KG had his Divine Mill record label. Before that, it was Illtown Records. He was running. He did Next, Janae, Jaheim, and Tretch had a crew of guys. He was doing his thing with Garden State Greats. And I was kind of in the middle like, man, this whole thing is getting away from Naughty by Nature. But lo and behold, I mean, they love to produce music. So fast forward, kind of like 2013 to 2017, we were just going through it. And 2017 actually is when I relaunched the online shop and I collaborated with a Russian artist. So there was a guy who was a fan of us. He created a similar bear like this who had this Naughty by Nature hoodie on. And I liked it. I was like, you know what? that character is ill, but I need my own. I worked with him and we ended up with this bear and with this, logo on it. But I was like, you know what? We can't make it a Naughty by Nature mascot because of the internal, issues. And KG was like, you know what? We should call that bear Slugger, like Louisville Slugger, because he has a bat. He's holding a bat. So I'm like, and you know what? Louisville Slugger, since we're from Illtown, we should name him Illtown Slugger. So that's how Kay and I came up with the group Illtown Sluggers, and we made the pivot from this. So you'll see the new merch. It has Slugger on it and Illtown on his head. And we were like, that's going to keep it safe where we won't have naughty conflict, but we could get back to producing artists, managing artists, and KG and I kind of, partnered up on that. Again, we invest in this. So we have our girl, Nicole Michelle. We have our boy Fresco Def right now. He has a crazy song called Just Dance. We have Ryan Lane. He has that traditional R&B feel, Forever. And we have a slew of artists that we've been putting out. And we're just waiting for these venues to open up again. We're going to be pushing out these artists, man. And we have a platform where not every artist will be signed to us. We'll just have a platform where if you're an independent artist and we like your vibe and we like your groove, we'll come in and collaborate. So a lot of the songs are Illtown Sluggers songs featuring the independent artists. So we could use our marketing muscle, we could use our platform to expose the artists and collaborate with them. And from there, they can keep doing their own independent thing. And then that way, as they're doing their own independent thing, whenever they want, they could come back and collaborate with us.
Now you see why I picked Vinny as Master the Courage of Pivot. That required courage, because if you would have doubted yourself or stopped a long time ago, not only we wouldn't have seen you, other people that worked under you, the kids that you mentored, the artists that you would have had your blessing. So this is what happened. Vinny is the poster child of what happens when you master the courage to pivot.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got one more question for you.
Okay.
Can I be a naughty shorty?
Yes, absolutely. Then that's another thing we're doing. I can't wait because most of the stuff we have is unisex, but primarily male stuff. So shout to my girl Kiki Kitty Doll. She's the one who plugged me in with her manufacturer, and she's a super ill designer. She was one of the first designers who collaborated with the FUBU guys, all the way up to one of her last major projects was she produced Nicki Minaj's clothing line. So she's coming in to do the naughty female line, the slugger female line. And man, 2021 onwards, we're going to take care of you ladies, man, because we know a lot of ladies are like, man, we love the hoodie bundles, but where's the stuff for us? So we got you coming, ladies. And we have a female designing it. So we're going to get out the way and let her do her thing. And we got you ladies covered.
All right. So, of course, if they want to get the female version slugger or the ladies naughty by nature stuff, how can they follow you? How can they follow the brand so they can get their pre-orders in?
Yes, definitely. Well, everything, I'm on Instagram at Uncle Vin Rock. The Naughty by Nature store is at Naughty by Nature store on Instagram. Naughty by Nature, the number 4 ever is on Instagram. And then on the website, I just tell everyone, go to naughtybynature.com. And as you go through the site, you'll see all of the Instagrams, all of the stores, and you can get everything there. But the easiest way is naughtybynature.com, and it'll lead you to everything else.
Vinny?
Yes.
I appreciate you. It took courage to reach out to you, because how often can you get a Grammy award-winning, double, triple platinum selling artist to talk to little old me? I appreciate you.
Well, you know what? And I appreciate journalists and bloggers like you and podcasters like you, because one thing I've learned in my career, that with media, a lot of it is sensational. You know what I mean? Sensational press and media. And one thing I learned, they don't like to interview me because you can't push my buttons. You can't get me to do all of the nonsense, and talk about nonsense. All I'm going to give is try my best to give positive energy, information, positive vibes. And even if it doesn't garner thousands of streams at the time, it can be saved, it can be archived. And no matter what, people are going to remember I always gave good energy. I always tried to give good advice. I'll let the rest of those guys do all of the sensational nonsense. And that's the poison that's hurting us right now. So I appreciate you for having your platform, and we can have a civilized conversation and let the people know that there's young Black people out here doing the right thing. And that's where we need to point our young people to, conversations like this.
Period. I know you're busy, so I'm going to let you go. Vin Rock, thank you so very much. Happy 50. I want to be 50 like you. I'm trying to look good like you, so I need to drink whatever water you drinking. I need to wear whatever you wearing. So if this is gonna be the key, I'll keep wearing naughty so I can look young.
Yes, thank you, love. Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.